Okay, so today we're going to start with page 55. So everybody go to page 55 on your packet, and you're going to start preparing for linear equation, graphing a straight line. Okay, linear graph means straight line. So we're going to graph straight lines. So first you're going to start with kind of introduction, how you graph. So we have x-axis. So this is a rectangular coordinate system. We have the horizontal axis is called the x-axis, and the vertical is called the y-axis. Both of those axes, they coordinate, they intercept at the origin. The point here, 0, 0, is where they cross each other. And then you have 4 quadrants. So this is first quadrant, this is second, third, and fourth quadrant, okay? And we have the x coordinate is positive in which quadrant? X coordinate is positive. It's positive here. See, this is how the coordinates axis goes. You have 0, 0 is the origin here. So then you have 1, 2, 3. These are the positive numbers for x, right? And then in the left side, you have the negative 1, negative 2 for x. If you go up to the y-axis, you have positive 1, 2, and so on. And if you go down the y-axis, you have negative 1, negative 2, and so on. Okay, so that's how it is. So now looking at the quadrants, which quadrant have positive x-axis? So here and here. So that's second and fourth quadrant. And negative are going to be in the other two, second and third quadrant. So this is how you fill this up. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, and then the y coordinate is positive. Which quadrant is positive? Those two, right? Is positive. Which one it is? Which quadrant? First and 1 and 2. 1 and 2, that's right. So the y coordinate is positive in quadrant 1 and 2, and it's negative in quadrant 3 and 4. That's right, good job. So now, how you graph points? We're gonna graph points. Any point has coordinates x and y. So the first number is always x, and the second number is always y. So let's start with the first point, which has coordinates 2 and 5. So I'm gonna go 2 in the x-axis, and then I'm gonna go 5 in the y-axis. So 5 is between 4 and 6. And whatever these two lines intercept, that's my point. Okay, everybody understand that? So this point has coordinates 2 and 5. That's how you graph it. Just put the point on the right place. Okay, you also have to pay attention to the scale on the x-axis and the y-axis. Here you have it by 2. So this is 2, this is 4, this is 6. So between 4 and 6 is the number 5. Okay, so keep the scale. Keep in mind the scale is different. Okay, let's do the next graph. The point is negative 2 and negative 5. So I'm going to go negative 2 in the x and negative 5 on the y-axis. So this is my point, negative 2 and negative 5. And obviously when you have x negative and y negative, this is going to be in the third quadrant. So the first point 2 and 5, it's in first quadrant. This one is going to be in the third. I'm just putting that there so you can kind of connect the things. Now, if you have the point 7 and negative 3, when I graph it, I'm going to go 7 on the x-axis and negative 3 on the y-axis. So those two are going to intercept here. So that's the point 7 and negative 3. And 7 and negative 3 is going to be in the fourth quadrant. Okay, and then you have one more to graph, which is negative 4 and 6. So we're going to go to negative 4 on the x and 6 on the y-axis. So they're going to cross these two lines. I'm going to cross at this point, and the point is negative 4, 6. And that's my point, okay? So the last point is also, let me put this in second quadrant. So this is how you graph points. Any questions on that?
No.
No, everybody good? Okay. Then you have another one to graph. For this one, I'm going to go over that also. This point has zeros in the coordinates. So again, when you graph, you have the same. The first number is x, the second number is y. So we're going to plot 0, 5. So we're going to go 0 on the x and 5 on the y. So it's going to be this point. So the point here, it has coordinate 0 for x and 5 on the y-axis. So it's technically on the y-axis. The other one is 0, negative 5. So it's going to be over here, down here. So this is 0 and negative 5. So it's negative 5 on the y-axis. And then you have 0, negative 1 is the next one. So it's going to be over here. And then we have 0, 9 between 8 and 10. That's the other one. So looking at those 4 points, all of them, they have first number 0, right? You see that? Actually, you have to discuss that, but these points also are called the y-intercepts because they're on the y-axis. They're not in first quadrant, they're not in second or third or fourth, they're on the y-axis. So all these points, they're on the y-axis. Okay? So all the points on the y-axis are called y-intercepts. And then what they have in common, I told you, they always have 0, comma, and I'm using the number symbol in math. It's not hashtag. This symbol here means any number. Okay, so the y-intercept always look like 0, comma number. Everybody understand that? Okay, then you're gonna, yes, you got it? Then you're gonna go to the next one, which is number 4. We're gonna plot 2, 0, negative 2, 0, negative 7, and 6, 0. So all of these numbers also the same way, if you look at them, they have 0, 0, 0 in the y-axis, right? In the second coordinate. So the y coordinate is 0. So when you graph it, the first one is gonna be here. So this point is 2 and 0. And then we have negative 2 and 0. And then you have negative 7 and 0. And also 6, 0. So all of those points, they're on the x-axis, right? Obviously. And all of those points are called y-intercepts. And what they have in common, the y coordinate is always 0. So the points always look like number, comma, 0. That's how they look like. This number, the second number is always 0. Okay? Any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Then we're going to solve some equations for y. And why are you doing that? Because here you're going to have different equations given in standard form or different form. And you want to go to slope-intercept. This is called slope-intercept form, where you have the equation of line has this form, slope-intercept, where you have y by itself. The number in front of x is called slope, and the number by itself is the y-intercept. So how are you going to solve for y? The way you solve in any equation. So if you start with number 5, in order to solve, I'm going to divide by 2. And when you divide by 2, you divide each term by 2. And I'm doing it like this individually because it's easier to simplify. So 2 divided by 2 cancel, it's 1y equals 3 over 2 x plus 4 divided by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So this is my equation. This is how the equation in slope-intercept form looks like. okay? So we get y equals 3 over 2x plus 4. So the slope is 3 over 4, and you're going to cross the y-axis at 4, okay? Next one, we're going to divide by -3. So when I divide by -3, you have to be careful with the negative. So negative divided by negative is positive 1y equals -3 divided by -3 is -1x. And then -9 divided by negative, it's +3. And this is my answer. Okay? And then let's do one more. We have number 7. We want to get y by itself. So first, before I divide, I'm going to subtract 2x in both sides, because I want to get y by itself in that side. So we have 3y equals, now you can do 15 minus, oh, let's do it like that, 15 minus 2x. So we're not combining 15 and 2, we're just leaving it like 15 minus 2x, because 15 is only a number and -2 is connected with x. So what you're doing, you're going to divide both sides by 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1y. That's what you want to get. And again, you divide by everything by 3. So we're going to get 5 minus 2 over 3x. Now here they want me to put m in front, right? I mean, mx in front. So the number with x is going to go first. And then plus 5. Because that's how they want the answer. Mx plus b. Okay, any questions? Okay, so we're gonna just continue working on this. So let's do number 8. We're getting y by itself. So again, I'm gonna subtract 3x in both sides. And I'm gonna get -3y. Let's move that. So I'm gonna get -3y equals, I'm gonna put x first, because that's how they want the answer. X have to be in the first place. And then I'm gonna divide by -3. In front of y is -3, so I divide everything by -3. And you're gonna get 1y equals 1x minus 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3, and it's a negative because you have positive divided by negative, it's negative. Okay? Number 9, the same way. In front of y, we have invisible -1, so I'm going to divide everything by -1, which means you're just going to change the sign. So it's going to be y equals -2x minus 1. That's it. When you divide by negative, you flip, you change the sign. If it's positive, become negative. And if it's negative, you change it to positive. Okay? And then number 10, we need to get y by itself. So be careful here, y is here in the first place. So we're going to subtract 5x in both sides. And you're going to get 15y equals, I'm going to put minus 5x first, and then minus 15. And then what I'm dividing by?
15.
Good job. Good job. We're going to divide by 15 by the number in front of y. And then that cancels, so you have y equals. Now, -5 over 15, you can divide by 5 up and down. So it's going to be -1 over 3x, and then minus 1. Because 15 divided by 15 is 1. Okay? So that's how you solve these type of equations to get y by itself. Okay? So you move the x and divide by the number in front of y. Okay, let's do a few more. So we have, let's do this. We're going to subtract 6x for this one, number 11. And again, I'm gonna have left with -3y equals, I'm gonna put -6x in front, because it's a x, have the x in front. And then I'm going to divide by -3. So everything by -3. And this cancels, so we get y equals negative divided by negative, it's positive. 6 divided by 3 is 2x. Positive and negative, it's a -6. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay? So now the next one has fractions. So how you want to do 12? Do you guys want to work with fractions, or you want to get rid of the fractions first?
Probably get rid of the fractions first. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the fractions. So if I want to get rid of the fractions here, we're going to multiply both sides by the common denominator. So what is the denominator? Is the first one is 2, the other one is 3. So what you need to multiply is 2 times 3 is what? 6. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 6, everything by 6. So it's going to be 1/2 times 6. And x. Now this is 6/1 technically, look at it like that. Minus 2/3 times 6/1 y equals 6 times 4 is 24. You multiply everything by 6. So when you do that, the denominators are going to cancel. See, 6 divided by 2 is 3x, right? And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have 1 times 3 is 3x minus 2 times 2 is 4y equals 24. So this is what we have without fractions. Everybody understand how to clear all the denominators? And then from here, we're just gonna subtract 3x in both sides. And we're gonna divide by -4. So we have -4y. We have -3x plus 24. And everything divided by -4. So I'm gonna write it here, squeeze it here. So we have y equals negative and negative give me positive 3, 4x. And then 24 divided by negative, it's -6. Okay? So that's how you do this one. And then number 13, what you're gonna multiply 13? To clear the fractions.
6.
What is the denominator? What you have in the bottom?
2.
Yeah, and it's only one denominator, so I can just multiply everything by 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you need to, when you clear the fractions, you have to look at the numbers in the bottom of the fractions. So if it's only 2, you multiply by 2. If it's 2 and 3, you're gonna multiply by everything by 6. Okay. Okay. So here we're gonna cancel the multiply everything by 2. So you're gonna have 1/2 times 2 and x plus 2 times 2 is 4y equals 6 times 2 is 12. Now 2 and 2 cancel here. You see that? So you have only 1x. And this x, I'm going to subtract it. I'm going to move it in the other side. So we have 4y equals 12. I'm sorry, minus x. Let's write the x first again. And I'm going to write it here. So we get 4y equals -x plus 12. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And you're going to get y equals negative. Now in front of x is invisible, 1/4 x plus 3. because 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay, so this is how you do number 13. Any questions so far? Okay, and the rest of it is also fractions. So we have x plus y over 2 equals -3. So for number 14, in order to get rid of the fraction again, I have to multiply by the denominator. What is the denominator?
2.
2, that's right. So what you're going to multiply? You're going to multiply by 2 both sides. So we have x plus y over 2. When I multiply by 2, it's going to cancel the 2 in the bottom. Equals -3 times 2 is -6. And then we get x plus y equals -6. So here we have to subtract x on both sides. And you're going to get y equals -x minus 6. And that's it. We already have y by itself. Okay. So now for number 15, what you're going to multiply, look at these fractions again. So what you're multiplying to cancel them, to clear all the denominators.
9.
Okay. I mean, you can do 9, yeah, but you can just multiply by 3 because both of those are the same.
Okay. Yeah.
And another 3, you can just multiply by 3. Okay. And then make sure you multiply each term by 3. So you're going to have 3 times 1/3 x minus 2 times 3 is 6y equals 2 over 3 multiplied by 3. And now 3 and 3 cancel. 3 and 3 cancel. So you have x minus 6y equals 2. So I'm going to subtract x in both sides. And I'm going to have -6y equals -x plus 2. And then I'm going to divide by -6. And this cancels, so I get y equals. Now negative over negative, it's positive. 1 in the top over 6x. And then 2 over negative, it's -1/3. You can divide this by 2 up and down. And this is what we have left with. Okay. And then we have one more left. So looking at number 16, what you're going to multiply 16 by? By 8? Yes, you can multiply by 8, that's right. But also you can multiply just by 4 because 4 is divisible by 2. So if I multiply by 4, because 4, you can look at like 4 include 2 already. So I'm going to multiply by 4. So I have 1/2 times 4, and there is an x also, plus 3 over 4. I'm multiplying by 4, and there is a y equals 3 times 4 is 12. Don't forget you're multiplying both sides. Now 4 and 4 cancel here, right? Now 4 and 2 you can divide by 2 up and down. So it's going to be 2 left. So what I have right now is 2x plus 3y equals 12. We're going to move the 2x over, minus 2x. And then the answer, we're going to divide by 3. So I have 3y, -2x plus 12. And then averaging over 3. We have y equals -2 over 3x plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay. Any questions on this one?
Just real quick,
Yes.
if you like, say for this one, if we were to use 8
Yes.
instead of 4, would it make it harder or?
You're doing the same steps. It's not going to be harder. You're just going to work with a little bigger numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you multiply by 8, instead of 3, you're going to work with 6. And then in the other side, instead of 12, you're going to have 24, right? 3 times 8 is 24. You're still going to get the same answer, just you have to work with a little bigger numbers. And then like here you have 2 over 3, probably you should have 4 over 6, so you're going to reduce it. But you're still going to get the same. You're still going to be the same.
Gotcha.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Then you're going to page 58. So page 58 is going to help us when you start talking about slope. This is technically the formula to simplify the slope formula. This one here looks like the slope formula. So here they give us A, B, C, D. You're going to plug the numbers and then you're going to simplify. Okay. So let's go ahead and do, I'm not going to do everything, I'm just going to do a few. I'm going to do one without fractions and one with fractions, so I will simplify. So let's start with 17. So I'm plugging in A, B, C, D in this formula. So we have A is what? 10 minus C, what is C? 4 over B, 7 minus D is 5. So when you simplify something like this, you have to do the top, you have to do the bottom, the adding, subtracting in the top and the bottom, and then just reduce, divide. Fraction means division, right? So 10 minus 4 is what? 6. And in the bottom, we have 7 minus 5 is 2. So we have 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my answer is 3. Okay, that's it. So let's do the next one again. We have A minus C. So it's going to be 5 minus, now C is negative 3. Over, so if it's negative, just put it in parentheses to be clear, to be in the safe side. So B is negative 7 minus D is 9. So here we have negative and negative 3, so that's going to be plus 3, right? 2 negative make a positive. So 5 plus 3 is 8. And then in the bottom, negative and negative, you're going to add it, so it's going to be negative 16. And then how you simplify 8 over 16? So the answer is negative, and you can reduce that, divide by 8 up and down, so it's going to be 1 over 2. So the answer is negative 1/2. You reduce it and leave it as a fraction, okay? Next one, we have fractions. So let's do one of those. So we have A, which is 1/2, minus C, which is 5 over 2. B, is that the formula? A, C, B minus D. Okay, B is 1/3 minus, we have D is negative. See, again, 2 negative is going to make positive, 5 over 6. If you want, just put it like this next to each other. So negative and negative is going to make this positive. Okay, everybody understand why it's positive, 5 over 6? Because the formula has negative and also your number has negative, and 2 negative next to each other make a positive. Okay, and then from here we have to simplify it. Now, one way to do that is if you work with fractions. Another way is if you multiply up and down by the same number, which is going to clear all the denominators up and down. So here we have to look at the bottom of the fraction. So we have the top denominators are 2 and 2. So you have 2 and 2. This one is 3 and 6. So which number is going to clear 2 and 3 and 6?
The top one
What you're going to multiply?
by 2.
Okay, if you multiply by 2, you have to multiply by 2 in the bottom.
By 12.
I'm sorry?
By 12.
12. You can do 12, yeah. Yeah, you can do 12. But you can also do 6. Because 6 is divisible by 3 and 6 is divisible by 2. You can do 12, that's fine. but I'm gonna do 6 because 6 is the least common denominator, the smallest one. Okay? So when I multiply everything by 6, I have, or you can just do it like this. Let me just write 6 everywhere. I'm gonna do 6 next to each fraction. And that way it's gonna be, and I don't have to write too much. So I'm gonna multiply this by 6, this by 6, this by 6, and this one by 6. Okay, so 6 divided by 2 starting from the top is gonna be 3, right? 6 divided by 2 is gonna be another 3, right? So what I have so far is 3 minus 15 in the top, right? Because 3 times 1 is 3, minus 5 times 3, 15. Okay? Then the bottom, I have 6 and 3, so this is 2 left. So I'm gonna have 2 plus 6 and 6 cancel, so 5 is left. Everybody understand what I'm doing? And then I'm gonna do the top. So 3 minus 15 is gonna be negative 12. And 2 plus 5 is 7. So that's my answer, negative 12 over 7. Leave it as a fraction. Okay? Any questions? Let's do it again. So we have a minus, I'm doing 20, a minus c. So it's going to be negative 5 over 7 minus 2 over 3. And everything over b minus d. So it's going to be 2 minus 2 over 3. So what you're going to multiply now, you have 7 and 3. What is the number you're going to multiply by?
$21.
Perfect, good job. We're going to multiply by 21, everything by 21. Now, when you do that, you multiply each of those. And also you're going to multiply 2 by 21. Because this is 2 over 1. It's still, you can look at it as a fraction over 1, but you multiply it also by 21. So make sure you multiply everything by 21. Don't skip any term. And then let's see what you have. 21 divided by 7 is going to be 3. So negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Minus, here we have 3 and 21 reduced to 7, right? And 7 times 2 is 14. Over. 2 times 21 is what? 42, right? Minus 3 and 21 is going to be 7. And 2 times 7 is 14. And then you have to do the math here. So I have negative 15 minus 14 is negative, what is that, 29, right? And then what is 42 minus 14? 28, right? Now 29 and 28, you can reduce it, so just leave it as like that. Just negative 29 over 28. So always when you have fraction, try to reduce. If you don't, just leave it. Okay? Any questions on this? Okay, let's do 2 more. So we have 21. It's a minus c. So it's going to be 8 minus, what is c is 8, over b minus d, 3 minus negative 2. So what is 8 minus 8? 0. And this become plus 2, right? 2 negative make plus over 5. What is 0 over 5?
0.
Good job. 0 divided by 5 is 0. The answer is 0, which is okay. 0 is a number, right? Okay, let's do the other one. We have a minus c, so it's -7 minus -1. Again, negative give me +1, right? Over b minus d, which is 4 minus 4. So what we have in the top? -7 plus 1 is -6. And we have 0 in the bottom. So when you have number divided by 0, what is that? Undefined. Good job. Good job. So the answer is going to be undefined because you cannot divide by 0. So the answer is undefined. This is D. Okay, so undefined. And the next question they're asking, when is having 0 in a fraction defined? So when is defined and when is undefined? So remember, when you have 0 over number, any number, the answer is 0. And if you have number over 0, then it's undefined. Okay, everybody see the difference? Okay, any questions? Okay, so that was the prep for graphing a straight line. So we're going to continue at page 59. Do you guys need a little break? So here we have page 59. We're going to talk about linear graphs, and there are different methods of graphing, and one of them is intercepts method. So when you graph, and when the equation is given in this form, x plus by equals c, this is called standard form of the equation, and where a, b, c are numbers, okay? What you're gonna do with this, we're gonna graph equations like that. So here we have tried. Decide which of the following equation represent a linear equation. So looking at this one, 3x minus 5y equals 10, is that linear or no? Yes or no? Is it linear?
Yes.
Yes, because you have number x and number y equals number. So this is yes, it's a linear equation. How about this one? Negative 4x equals 1. Yes, it's also linear equation. You have x, you have number, you have y. That's what the linear equation is. Now, the next one is here 2 with exponent x equals 5. Is that a linear equation?
No.
That's right. It's not linear. Why is not linear? Because you have exponent and you have x in the exponent. Okay? And the next one again, is it linear or not linear?
No, because the x is squared.
That's right, because of the x squared. And this is because you have exponent. That's right. So everybody understand what is linear, what is not linear. So linear equation, the graph is going to be a straight line. So here we have example for the linear equation x plus 2y equals 8. The 0.61 is a solution of that equation, because if you replace x with, so the first number is x, 6, and the second number y is 1. If you get something true statement, that's correct. If it's not solution, right? So that's how you check. So let's try the next one. Here they give me the point -2 and 5. So the first number is x, The second number is y, and this is the equation you're gonna follow, right? So you're gonna replace x is -2 plus 2 times y is 5 equals 8. Let's check if this is correct. So we're gonna multiply first. 2 times 5 is 10, right? So I have -2 plus 10, is that equals 8? Yeah, the left side you have 10 minus 2 is 8 equals 8. So if it's true, the answer is yes, it's a solution. Any questions? Now the question is, can you find another solution for this equation? Can you find another one? How you find another one? You can just pick any number for x and find y. That's the easiest way to do it. Or pick a number for y and find x. So for example, let's say y is 0. What is going to be x? So if I replace y with 0, 2 times 0 is going to be 0, right? So what is x equals?
8.
8, that's right. I'm just picking x is y is 0. So 8 comma 0, it's a solution. You can get another one. You can just pick whatever else number you wanna. You can put x is 1. There are many solutions of this equation. So if, let's say, I replace x with 1, and I have the same equation. So what I'm gonna have, 1 plus 2y equals 8. I'm gonna subtract 1 in both sides. And I'm gonna have 2y equals 7 divided by 2, right? To get y by itself. So 1 and 7 over 2, it's another solution. Make sense? So there are many solutions of this equation. And when you graph it, it's gonna be a line like this. It's gonna look like this. So the 2 points given are this one and this one, the one they give us. One of them is, this is -2 and 5, right? This is one of those. And let's see, the other one was 6 and 1, right? Yeah. So this is 6 and 1. And we found another one, 8 is 0. This is the one we just pick, 8 and 0, right? And 1, so this point here is 1 and 3.5, technically. 7 over 2 is 3.5, right? So this is the point we have. Now, can you tell me what is this point here and the y-axis?
I'm just gonna guess the origin.
Origin is this one. Okay,
Oh.
origin 0, 0.
Oh, okay.
This is 0, 0. Oops. This, oops, sorry, my screen disappeared. So the 0, 0 is right here. Now I'm talking about the way over here, where the graph crosses the y-axis, this point here.
4.
You need two numbers. The first number is
0, 4.
0, 4. Good job. 0, 4 is this one. Yes. Okay. Everybody understand that? Now the point here, origin is 0, 0. This is 0, 0. Okay. So 0, 4, sorry. 0 and 4 is another point. Okay. Any questions? Yes, 0, 4 is called the y-intercept, yes. This is the y-intercept. And this here, 8, 0, it's called the x-intercept. Why it's x-intercept? Because the second coordinate is 0, y 0, right? For y-intercept, x coordinate is 0. So remember that, always. Always, x-intercept, y coordinate is 0. Y-intercept, x coordinate is 0. Okay? Any questions here so far? Okay, so now we're just gonna See, they're talking about x-intercept, y-intercept. What is the definition? And we're gonna graph a straight line using the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So here they give us straight lines. We have to find what is the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So let's do that. So looking at number, I don't know, it doesn't have number. It says just try it. Let's look at this one. What is the x-intercept? What is the point where you cross the x-axis?
-5, 0.
Good job. -5, 0. This is the point here. Yes. And where is the y-intercept?
0, 8.
0 and 8. Good job. That's right. Okay, so everybody understand the x-intercept, the y-intercept, all of those? You can do it the same way. Okay. Now let's go ahead and start find the x-intercept and the y-intercept if you have given equation. Okay, obviously looking at the graph, it's easier. Let's see if you have the equation, how you're gonna find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So what you're doing, you're just gonna plug 0 for the other variable. So if I wanna find x-intercept, I'm gonna plug it in 0 for y. If I wanna find the y-intercept, x is gonna be 0, okay? So let's start with number 1. So here we have page 61. If I want to find, let's start with x-intercept. I'm going to substitute 0 for y. So it's going to be 0 equals -2x plus 9. And I'm going to solve for x. How you do that? You're going to add 2x in both sides. And we're going to get 2x equals 9. And then divide both sides by 2. It's going to give you what is x. I'm just going to, yeah, let's use it 9/2. I'm going to use it as a fraction. So my x-intercept is 9/2, 0. Now let's find the y-intercept. For y-intercept, you're going to replace x with 0. So you have y equals -2 times 0 plus 9. -2 times 0 is 0. So that's going to be 0 plus 9 is 9. So my y-intercept is 0, 9. Okay? Everybody understand how we're doing it? Replace x with 0, replace y with 0. Okay, let's do the next one. We have y equals 6 plus x. So finding x-intercept, I'm going to put 0 for y. So it's going to be 0 equals 6 plus x. In order to get x, I'm going to subtract 6. And that will give me -6 equals x, right? So the x-intercept is what? X is -6, 0. And then finding the y-intercept the same way. I'm going to put 0 for x now. So I have y is going to be 6 plus 0 is 6. And the point is 0, 6. Okay, everybody understand that? Okay, so let's do number 3 and 4. Number 3, we want to find, let's find the x-intercept first. So I'm going to replace y with 0. So it's going to be 12 times 0, 0, minus 2x equals 6. And then divide by -2, which is -3. So the x-intercept is going to be x equals -3. So it's going to be -3 and 0. Now for the y-intercept, I'm going to replace x with 0. So I have 12y minus 0. 2 times 0 is 0. equals 6. I'm going to divide by 12 both sides. And y is going to be 1/2. So the intercept, the y-intercept is going to be 0, 1/2. So you can just leave it as a fraction because you're not graphing right now. Just leave it as a fraction. And then the next one is going to be the same way. So if I want to do 4, again, x-intercept, y is going to be 0. So I have 8x plus 0, 5 times 0, 0 equals 17. And then divide by 8. And that's my x-intercept, 17/8, 0. Just keep it like a fraction, just exactly the way it is. And then the y-intercept, I'm going to put 0 for x. So 0 plus 5y equals 17 divided by 5. And that's it. So it's going to be 0, 17/5. Okay? And then the next question, number 5, they asked me to graph a line that have no x-intercept. How are you going to do that? Which graph doesn't cross the x-axis? Can you think about a line which is not crossing the x-axis? What type of line it is? And remember, the line is going to go continue both sides to infinity. So what type of line is going to cross, not crossing the x-axis? Can you think about a line which is not crossing the x-axis? So this is the x-axis. So which line is not crossing this line?
A horizontal line.
Horizontal, good job. It have to be parallel to the x-axis. So if it's parallel to the x-axis, never gonna cross the x-axis. Everybody understand that? Good job, that's right. So this line never gonna cross the x-axis. Or if I have this line. So any horizontal line is never gonna cross the x-axis. Make sense? And then the same, using the same concept for B. Let's find a graph which is not crossing the y-axis. So how it's going to look like? So this is the y-axis, you never cross it. So what type of line is that?
Vertical.
Vertical, good job. So if you never cross the y-axis, it's going to be a vertical line. Could be here to the left, to the right, doesn't matter, but parallel to the y-axis. I'm just giving you some examples. Okay, doesn't matter where it's going through, but it have to be parallel to the y-axis. So any line parallel to the x-axis is called horizontal. That's right. Horizontal line. And any line parallel to the y-axis is called vertical line. Okay? Good job, you know that. Okay, go to number 6 and 7. What you have to do for 6 and 7? Hold on. Find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. I guess that's what you're doing, yes. So let's find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So number 6, finding the x-intercept, right? So technically, if you use the same method, finding the x-intercept, I'm replacing y with 0, right? So it's going to be 5 times 0/2 is 0 equals 10. 0 equals 10 have no x, and 0 is not equal to 10. That means no solution. So that means there are no x-intercept, which is okay. That means we have, if you have no x-intercept, that means it's a horizontal line, right? So if there are no x-intercept, that means horizontal line and let's find the y-intercept. You can find the y-intercept. So finding the y-intercept, you're going to replace x with 0. Okay, there's no x, so there's nothing to replace, but I can still solve it. I can solve 5, I can find y. And how you do that? You can multiply both sides by 2 and divide by 5. That way, or multiply by reciprocal. Cancel 2, cancel 5, and you get y equals 4, right? So you're going to cross the y-axis at 4. So the y-intercept is going to be 0, 4. Okay? So no x-intercept. And the y-intercept is 0, 4. Make sense? Any questions on this? Okay, so let's go ahead and do the next one. We have number 7, find x-intercept and y-intercept again. So for x-intercept, I'm going to put y 0, but there's no y, so I'm just going to solve 8x equals negative 16. I'm going to divide by 8 to get x by itself. So it's negative 2. So you're crossing the x-axis at negative 2, 0. Now finding the y-intercept, I'm going to put 0 for x, right? So it's going to be 8 times 0 is 0 equals negative 16. 0 is not equal negative 16. So again, you have no y-intercept. You can't cross the y-axis. What type of line is that? It's a vertical line, right? Okay, it's a vertical line. Okay, so the x-intercept is x-intercept is negative 2 and 0. Y-intercept, there are no y-intercept, no. Okay, it's a vertical line. Okay, the next one is number 8. We have to write the equation of a line with y-intercept 0 and 5. So you can make up a lot of equations here. So if you have one of them, could be, so let me give it the graph so I can see, and then you can make up any equations. So y equals, crossing the y-axis at 0, 5, right? You can have a horizontal line going through 5. What is going to be the equation? Y equals 5 is the equation. Y is always 5, right? I can give you another one. You can have it like, for example, another equation could be y equals 3x plus 5. So that's a line going through 5 and it's increasing, something like this. You can have with negative slope, like negative 2x plus 5. So you can have it like this. So there are many lines crossing the y-axis at 0, 5. So the first one is y equals 5, which is horizontal line. This is increasing and this is decreasing. So the first one is going up like this because the slope in front of x is positive. And this one is going down left to right because the slope in front of x is negative. So here we're talking about the equation of line which has this form, y equals mx plus b. So m is the slope, it's called the slope. And b is called the y-intercept, where you cross the y-axis, right? So if you're crossing the y-axis at 5, that means the equation is going to be y equals any number x plus 5 is going to cross the y-axis at 5. Make sense? Okay. And then here we have to use the intercept method again to graph these lines. So we're going to graph those equations. So we're in page 62. I'm gonna grab those two. And we have a few more examples, and all of those are using the slope intercept method. So this is what you're gonna finish today. Graphing with, no slope intercept, sorry. We're gonna use intercept method. We're gonna use the intercept method to graph. So we just have a few more examples of graphing a straight line using intercept method. Means finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept and then graph the line. Okay, so how you do that? For x-intercept, I know y is gonna be 0, right? It's gonna look like this. And this is what you're doing. So if y is 0, I can just cross 0. This is 0. So I have to solve 5x equals 10 divided by 5. And that's going to be 2. So 2 and 0. Okay? So just cross out the other one. If y is 0, cross it out. Then for the y-intercept, I'm going to cross. So I'm going to erase this. So I'm following the same equation. But now for y-intercept, x is going to be 0. So I'm going to cross out the 5x because 5 times 0 is 0. So I'm going to solve 2y equals 10 divided by 2. And that's going to give me 5. Okay, so these are my x-intercept and the y-intercept. So these are the points I'm going to graph. So x-intercept, I'm going to go on the x-axis at 2. And then y-intercept at 5. So I'm going to go on the y-axis at 5. And these are my 2 points I'm going to connect with straight line. And that's going to be the graph. Now, when you connect the graph, the points, make sure your line continue up and down. Go to infinity both sides. Okay? Because if you connect only from point to point, that's a segment. Here we're graphing a straight line, so the line have to go through those 2 points, but continue both ways. Okay? Make sense?
Yes.
Any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, everybody good? Oops. Okay, so we're gonna continue with number 10. So let's graph number 10. Okay, so for number 10, we're gonna use the same method. So we're gonna have just fractions here. Now, one way to do this, if you clear the fraction first everywhere, or you can just work with them. Whatever you want. You can, if you want, you can just clear the fractions. So denominators are 4, 8, and 2. So I'm gonna multiply both sides by 8, right? That way I'm gonna cancel all the denominators. So I have 1, 4, and I'm multiplying by 8, minus 1, 8, x, and I'm multiplying by 8, equals 1/2 multiplying by 8. So I'm gonna do that first. 8 and 8 cancel. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So now no more fractions. So I have 2 times 1 is 2y minus 1x, right? Equals 4. So this is the equation I'm gonna follow now. And I'm gonna find, it's the same equation, the same straight line. So I'm gonna find the x-intercepts. And for x-intercept, y 0, right? So that means I'm gonna cross the y. And I have negative 1x equals 4. Then divide by negative 1. And it's gonna be negative 4. So I'm crossing the x-axis at negative 4. Then finding the y-intercept, I'm gonna cross the x now, 0. So the y-intercept is gonna be 0, comma, I need to find a number. Now when x is 0, this is gonna be 0. So I have to solve 2y equals 4. Divide both sides by 2. It's gonna be 2. So you're crossing the y-axis at 2. And I'm gonna erase this way across the x and the y. So what I need to do now is just go to the x-axis of -4 and then go to the y-axis of 2 and then connect and make the straight line. Okay, make sure you continue both ways. Oh, something's happened again. Okay. Okay, so that's the graph for number 10. So now let's go ahead and continue with let's just graph a few more like this, number 11 and number 12. And then you can do, actually you can do 13 and 14 are more interesting, right? Because 11 and 12, they're the same, we just did. If you have fraction, you can get rid of the fraction and graph it. 12 doesn't have fraction, so just put 0 for x, 0 for y and solve it. Let's do 13. So 13 is the one where you don't have x, you have only y. So let's graph this equation. So first, let's find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So for x-intercept, we know y is going to be 0, right? So I can multiply also by 2 to get rid of the fractions if you don't like fractions. So multiply by 2 both sides. So my equation is technically 5y equals 20. So this is what I'm going to use, right? So I have x-intercept y is 0. So I'm replacing y with 0. So I have 0 equals 20. 0 equals 20 is not true. So that means there are no x-intercept. So if they're not x-intercept, that means the graph is going to be what? Horizontal or vertical? If you don't cross the x-axis, that means the line is parallel to the x-axis. So it's going to be horizontal. Okay, and if it's horizontal line, you're going to find the y-intercept and you draw horizontal line through that point. So y-intercept is going to be replacing x with 0, but there's no x, so just going to solve for y. So we have 5y equals 20. Going to divide by 5. And the y-intercept is going to be at 4. And the point is going to be 0, 4. So I'm going to go to the y-axis at 4. And I'm going to draw horizontal line there. Okay, so that's my graph. So when it's horizontal, you need only one point. Okay. And this is the same with vertical. So next one is obviously vertical because you have only x equals. But again, if you want, you can just go to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept. You can do that also, but here looks like equation have only x, and I can just get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by 8 both sides to get x by itself. So x is going to be -2. So x equals -2 means you have a vertical line. How I know it's vertical? Because x is -2. So I'm going to go to -2 at x, and my line is going to have the same x. So it's going to look like this. X is always the same. No matter what is y, x is always -2. So that's how you graph vertical line, okay? But if you want to go through step by step, if they ask you to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, you're just going to do this. X-intercept is going to be -2 and 0, because it doesn't matter what is y, x is going to be -2. And for the y-intercept, I'm going to replace x with 0. So I'm going to have 0 equals -2, which is not true. So 0 is not -2, which means there are no there's no y-intercept. You don't cross the y-axis. And one which doesn't cross the y-axis, it's parallel to the y-axis. That means it's a vertical line. Okay, so everybody understand this one, number 14?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll show you a little shortcut. If you have only x, graph it. If you have only y, just graph it, okay? And then this is your homework. We have to start working on it. So this is what you have for today. So the homework for page 65, you can start working in that homework also. And the homework is 2 to 8. So page 65, you can work on number 2 to 8. So you can do all of these questions, grab those two. And also you have 12 to 15. 12. And here, just gonna go over this. Okay. So this is just to think about a few things. Okay, so that's what you have for today.